Julio Vaqueiro is a reporter with our NBC partner at Telemundo in Mexico City. He has been following this story all day long and joins us, as does Dr. Walter MOONEY. He's a research seismologist from the USGS, and he joins me by phone tonight. Thank you both for talking to us.
My pleasure to be there.
Julio, I want to start with you. Tell me what you are hearing about the damage. And as I understand, so far no deaths, but in a couple of the smaller cities near the epicenter, it looks like they have some pretty bad damage there.
That's absolutely right. I mean, the whole of Mexico City and the south of the country shook with this earthquake. And yes, the main damage was in Guerrero, the state of Guerrero, which is in the Pacific coast of Mexico. This little town called Ometepec had several houses which were damaged. 60 of them collapsed. 800 of them have some sort of damage, and that's thousands of people who were affected by this earthquake in Guerrero. In Mexico City, the city felt the earthquake, and some major buildings in the center of the city cracked. A big bridge collapsed onto a vehicle. It was impossible to know immediately if someone was killed by this accident. However, later on we knew that the bus driver had major injuries. But that's basically the damage that we've had here in Mexico City. The main problems are in Guerrero, in the Pacific coast, where the epicenter was.
Can you tell me a little bit about communications? As I understand, and understandably, communications are down in some areas. A, how are they in Mexico City? And B, if you can't use phones or cell phones, what would be the best way for people to communicate and get information?
Well, in the moment of the earthquake and a bit after the earthquake, we had real trouble with this communications. It was impossible to speak through cell phones because the lines collapsed. This wasn't because of the service collapsed, but so many people wanted to call their families and their friends to know how they were, that the whole system collapsed and it was impossible to use our cell phones. So the main way to communicate between each other were social media. Many people were giving information and telling friends and family how they were through Twitter and Facebook. And I think that's the best way to do it still. But I can tell you that by now we can use cell phones and telephones properly and normally. But probably social media has been doing a major job through this day to let people keep communicated.
We have a lot of people in the Bay Area with family and ties and connections to Mexico, so I know that they want to find out about that information. I want to turn now to Dr. MOONEY for a moment. Can you tell me a little bit about this quake? We had heard the original magnitudes, and then those were updated throughout the course of the day. Has the magnitude changed at all? And can you kind of just give me the dynamics of what happened here?
Yeah, so this earthquake is now registering as a 7.4, which is a really strong shaker. It's a little bit down from the initial estimate of 7.6, but you know, in the local area, you couldn't tell the difference. It would have shaken really severely, and I'm sure people were very alarmed. This earthquake is occurring on a fault that we know very well. We've had our eye on this fault for a long time. And in 1999, there was an earthquake in just about the same location. So we've been sort of worried about this region.
Can you tell me, as I understand, it's a subduction zone where the Pacific plate dives under the continental plate, and it's that kind of friction where we had the earthquake. I also understand that the fault is connected to the San Andreas here in the Bay Area. Is there any correlation? Does that change the dynamics of what we have in the Bay Area or the potential for an earthquake here at all?
Well, you're absolutely right. This is a dipping fault where the Pacific Ocean is being pushed down beneath Mexico, and the fault continues to the north well past Acapulco. But when it comes on shore in Baja, Mexico, it becomes a different kind of a fault. It becomes a sliding fault and becomes our famous San Andreas fault. The good news is that this earthquake will not have any effect on the behavior, the future probability or likelihood of an earthquake in California, though.
You know, we were talking to Julio just a moment ago, and he was describing some of the damage in the areas there. And the fact that it was felt so far away in Mexico City, they actually got a pretty good jolt out of this. And considering they're, you know, 200, maybe 300 miles away, depending on where you are, what's the dynamics that they felt such a rock and roll in Mexico City so far away?
Yeah, there's two factors that really play a role. One is, how far you are away, and the second is, what are you sitting on? Well, sorry to say, but Mexico City is built in large part on an old lake bed. So we're talking about soft, weak soils which are easily disturbed, and so they get this rocking and rolling movement because of the kind of material that they built the city on. It's a beautiful city and wonderful people. I love to go there, but in terms of earthquakes, it's like sitting on the cone of a speaker. It's right on the peak amplification region.
So that being said, Julio, I want to bring you back in once again. Are you feeling aftershocks? Have you felt anything powerful since the initial earthquake?
Yes, certainly. Yes, we have felt some aftershakes, and that especially right after the main earthquake, we had several aftershakes, and the biggest one was about 5.3. So yes, we've been feeling this sensation of movement all day long. And as the doctor says, we have these sort of earthquakes are common here in Mexico City. People are used to it, so that's the reason why people just ran outside their buildings in a very organized way, and there were no casualties registered so far. So that's an important point to make.
Absolutely. And real quickly, do you know anything about the rescue and recovery efforts going on in those smaller towns that were near the epicenter?
Well, what I can tell you is that the governor of the state has said this huge number of houses has been damaged, and that they will be attending these people who have been affected by the earthquake. However, this will certainly take some time to solve.
Absolutely. It's going to take days, if not weeks, but we appreciate it. Julio, thank you so much. Live from our partners at Telemundo in Mexico City, and Dr. Mooney by phone tonight from the U.S. Geological Survey. Thank you both for talking to us.
My pleasure.
Thank you.